Okay, so have you ever thought about, like, what would it be like to date one of your friends?
Hmm. Yeah, I think most people have probably at least considered it at some point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And there are definitely some, like, pros and cons to consider, which is what we're going to deep dive into today, the whole friends before lovers situation.
Yeah. It's one of those things that like sounds perfect in theory.
Right.
You know, you already have that connection. But yeah, we're going to get into all the complexities of how that actually plays out.
Definitely. So first, let's talk about why people are even drawn to this idea in the first place. Like, what makes starting as friends so appealing?
I think for me, the biggest thing is trust. You know, you already have this like foundation of trust that you don't have to build from scratch.
Totally. And it goes beyond just trusting them to, like, show up on time or whatever.
Right.
It's about having seen their character, like, firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how they act when things get tough or when they disagree with someone, things like that. Yeah, it's like you've seen, like, the real them, not just the first date version.
Exactly. And that can be like super valuable in a romantic relationship because you kind of already know what you're getting into.
Right. There's no surprises, hopefully.
Hopefully. But yeah, you know, you can be more vulnerable, communicate more openly, and just feel safer overall.
Yeah, speaking of communication, I feel like that's another big advantage. When you're already friends, you're probably more comfortable being yourselves around each other.
Oh, absolutely. And there's actually research to back that up. A study a few years ago, it was in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, found that couples who were friends first tended to communicate more honestly and directly, even when it came to tough conversations.
Oh, wow, really? That's interesting. So it's not just that they're more comfortable, but they actually communicate better.
It seems that way, yeah. It's like that foundation of friendship helps to create this space where both people feel safe to be open and honest without worrying about being judged.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so we've got trust, we've got communication. What else makes this whole friends to lovers thing so appealing?
I think shared experiences are a huge part of it. You know, like you already have those inside jokes. You've probably discovered common interests. Maybe you've even been through some like tough times together.
Right, yeah.
And all of that creates a really strong bond that can be like super powerful in a romantic relationship.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, having someone who already gets you, who knows your history, who's seen you at your best and worst. That just adds a whole other layer of connection.
Absolutely. And it makes the transition to romance feel a lot more, I don't know, organic maybe.
Yeah, totally. Okay, but there's always a but, right?
Haha, always.
It wouldn't be a very deep dive if we just focused on the good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the challenges. What are some of the potential downsides of going from friends to lovers?
I think one of the trickiest things is that blurring of boundaries. You know, you go from this like comfortable platonic dynamic to one that's suddenly filled with romantic tension, and that can be like super confusing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, is this flirting? Is it just how we always are? How do you even figure that out?
That's where communication comes in again.
Right.
You have to be like really clear and honest about what's changing and what you're feeling.
But isn't that like super scary? Because what if the other person doesn't feel the same way?
Yeah, that's definitely a risk, and it's why a lot of people avoid taking that leap.
I mean, it's a valid fear, right?
Totally. There's no guarantee that you can just go back to being just friends if things don't work out romantically.
So for all the listeners out there who might be considering, like, making a move on a friend, what advice would you give them? Like, how do you navigate that transition without, totally messing things up?
Well, first and foremost, honesty is key. You know, just be upfront about how you feel, but you also have to be prepared for any outcome and respect their boundaries.
So basically, rip the Band-Aid off, but do it carefully.
Exactly. And if you both decide to give it a shot romantically, it's important to set some clear boundaries early on.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Yeah, it can help protect the friendship if things don't work out. And also prevent any misunderstandings down the line.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. We've covered the good, the bad, and the kind of messy. So now I got to ask you, the listener, like, think about your own friendships. Are there any people you've maybe thought about taking things to the next level with? What's holding you back? Would what we talked about today make you more likely to cross that line? Or would you rather keep those worlds separate? Lots to think about for sure.